Okay, what do you think worked well in my music video?
I like the narrative, and I thought the acting was really good.
I really liked the way that you kind of had the lead actress singing the lyrics and also the band singing them. So it reflected in the way that the actress in the narrative side of the story really identified with the song.
Yeah, I like the band bit especially actually, with the background, like the pink sort of sky and the trees. I just thought it looked great.
Yeah, and you've got
really
really good
very
looking lead guitarist.
Yes.
Oh, why, thank you.
And it was very professionally shot, like.
Guitarist, not singer.
And it looked very professional. The camera work was really good, really good.
Okay, question 2. What do you think could be improved about my music video?
I think the aesthetic of it. For example, you had like I said before, you had the really good shot with the pink sky and the trees, and it was all very good. But then, once where your female main character is lip syncing, there's sort of like blue flowery bed covers, and you could say it contrasts well, but I think it sort of took the effect away from the band aesthetic, if you know what I mean. I saw that if you had like plain black or like plain white or something that sounds quite boring, if you had something like that, might have, I don't know, worked a little bit better to suit the song more.
I think that you could have done a bit more work on the lip syncing and the continuity of the band playing and stuff, which was sometimes a bit off. And also, I felt like in the middle section where they are bullying her while she's working and they're laughing at her is a bit forced and doesn't feel very realistic in terms of they're sort of just sitting there and watching her work.
Yeah, I see what you mean with that.
Fair point, I accept that point. Thank you very much. I think that this feedback has brought up some valid points which I think really do relate to my work. Some of the stuff that Liv said about the colours and how they match with the general theme of my band, I think do bring up a very important point, which is this. When trying to create the aesthetic of the band, I was trying to sort of go for an effect that would be gloomy or sort of, depressing, that kind of thing. I see what she means about the fact that, the blue bed covers and that kind of stuff at the start of the film does kind of, stray away from that theme, whereas consistency may have, been a better contributor to the overall effect. I put it in as sort of a contrast to sort of show, against the contrast of the lyrics, which are quite depressing in the song, and kind of, ironically counter them in the colours. Moving on to what Max said, again, I feel that he raised some. I had chance to go back and do them again, I certainly would, just to bring them up to the quality of the rest of the film, because I think that in terms of the whole film, the performance part was definitely my weakest part. That was the bit that I filmed first, and I feel like I've learned a lot between filming that and filming my other parts. The other bit which he said about the centre of the film, I also totally agree with that. I mean, it's not something I'd considered up until this point, as it hadn't really been mentioned to me. Certainly, it's difficult to create a storyline within the tough time constraints of the 3 minutes of the song. So this bit, I can see what he means. It does feel a bit sort of rushed, and I don't really have much time to further elaborate on it. And I would Do
have
you think that my
liked to
ancillary
have had a
tasks
bit more time
effectively
in the
link with one
song
another, as well as
to
linking
perhaps
effectively to
develop
the
the
music
story up
video?
further rather than trying to fit all of it into like a I brief think they do montage in effectively the link middle and bit. all have kind But of the band unfortunately, I is wasn't able to do consistent that for due all to three of obviously the the fact that tasks. I was, And I think the so ancillary tasks tight for time in terms particularly well
Mm.
together of the song. because you've got the promotional poster, which is promotion for the like CD and digipack. So it's got the picture of the CD on it, which links them.
I think they actually link fairly well together. Like you've got the black background, it's got a lot of black in it. Then you've got like the drugs and the digipack, and then no offense, miserable looking faces of your band, which matches also with the context of your music video. It's the girl's getting bullied and kills herself, which isn't the happiest thing going in the world. Yeah, well done.
Nice, thank you very much. Okay, final question. Are there any alterations which you would make to the ancillary tasks?
I think mainly the first thing I noticed definitely was the fact that you didn't have the well, not the title of the album, but the band name on the front cover. I mean, it's not a massive problem because there's so many album covers that don't have the name of the band on the front cover. For example, Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon and stuff like that. But I think you could have looked better into the codes and conventions of the digipack of that genre to see that mostly band names are put on the front. And it's not a massive problem, it's completely up to you, but I think it would have, you had that, the space of this, because it's edited really well with like the fuzziness, then you had such a large space of the sky, you had plenty of room to put the band name, so it probably would have looked better, but it's completely up to you. That's what I think anyway.
I agree with that, yeah. But I also think that because you've got an imagery of the band on the front of the album, it kind of needs the band name to draw them all together, because with things like Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, it's an iconic image which became iconic because of the album,
Yeah.
but it's a reflection of the album rather than a reflection of the band, and if it's a reflection of the band, I think it needs the band logo now.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Again, I feel this feedback has brought up a lot of important points which I think could be used to adapt my project if I was to go back and change it. The point I'd like to make about the title or lack thereof on the front cover is that I did try, in fact, to try and try and put the title on the front cover, but I don't think that personally it worked that well. I thought it just kind of looked a bit out of place. But I tried this with the album, with the single name rather than the artist name, so I accept Liv and Max's points that maybe if I'd put the artist name on, that would have looked a bit better. I don't think it's the be all and end all. I think that's just sort of down to personal taste more than anything. But I do see Liv's point about the fact there is quite a lot of space at the top, which would be the ideal place for a name. It's just on this particular occasion I've chosen to omit it just to sort of keep the front looking a bit cleaner rather than cluttering it with a bunch of information. Max's point is also a valid one about how, although a lot of album covers don't have the band name on the front, these tend to be ones that are more based around imagery and sort of logos and pictures rather than like actual photos of the band. And so I think in this case I probably should have put the titles on. But again, as Liv said, it's not the be all and end all. It's just something I'd take in my stride. And if I were to do it again, I would probably, work to try and implement the band name into the front cover in some sort of way.